welcome back. We have Savanah Tujague. I know how to say it because of her dad is here. Daughter of a college football coach is here. Thanks for being here.
Of course. So happy to be here. Honestly, I love doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, we talked to you for 17 minutes before we started. I always do that dumb stuff, but
no, I love it. I love it.
So we're going to talk college football, but before that, I have to ask, what's it like being a daughter of a college football coach?
It's so funny when people ask this, right? Because I don't know any different life. This is the only life I've ever lived. And so I'm like, well, I don't know how it compares to anything else because I don't know anything else. But I think the best way to describe it, or the best way I could simply break it down, would be imagine if your entire life, your livelihood depended on how 18 to 22-year-olds performed at a sport.
Yeah.
And that's really the best way to describe it, because most people will hear that and they're like, wow, I never thought about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like in high school, I don't have to have that pressure. Like, yeah, we have to rely on 14, 15, 16-year-olds, but in Illinois, my life doesn't depend. Like, we don't get fired very easy, and we'll find another one, like another coaching job. Your dad, on the other hand, is like, well, if we lose 2 years in a row, this isn't going to go well.
Yeah, absolutely. And as someone who has been an 18 to 22-year-old man at one point in your life, you know how hard it is to control that situation sometimes.
It's hard when I'm 35 to control. What?
Yeah.
No, I just found that interesting, especially now when you're watching all these college football changes, all the moving that these coaches have to do. Now, you'll have to correct me. I don't think your dad told me he didn't move a lot at first. I think he was in one spot for a long time.
Yeah. So when I was growing up, we lived in Southern California my entire life, mostly. He started at Chabot, coached at a junior college that he went to before he was at BYU playing offensive line for Heisman Trophy winner Ty Detmer. He then went back and coached there and coached his siblings. And then he was a GA in the Inland Empire in Southern California. So he moved to Southern California, which is where my mom's family is from. So we were close by family. Lived there for a little while. If you're not familiar with the Inland Empire, it has since been gentrified, but it was very much the ghetto when I grew up. And then he took a coaching job at another junior college called the College of the Canyons. It's been on Hard Knocks. Some greats have really come out of there. Domata Pecco, Jason Pierre-Paul. There's been quite a few. Yeah. So he coached there for a very long time throughout my whole childhood, was the head coach, won several national championships, was the offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, D-line coach, did a whole bunch of stuff. And then the day I graduated high school, was forced to move to Utah, where he started coaching at BYU. Wasn't happy about it then at all, but it's both of our alma maters at this point. And so, that was great. Was there for a little while. My sister grew up in Utah. And then my dad coached at the University of Virginia for a very long time, followed Bronco Mendenhall there. And that's where my brother grew up in the country. I am very LA and he is very Southern country boy. So it's very funny. And then 3 years ago, I guess we're on our fourth year now. Yeah, fourth year. They moved to Raleigh, and my parents live in Raleigh, and my dad coaches at NC State. So,
yeah, it was funny because I knew a coach that followed Mike Leach. He was always with him.
Oh, yeah.
And when the whole thing happened at Mississippi State, he ended up at North Carolina, which I know I'm not even supposed to say that word, but
correct.
But I got along with him. He sent me they're on the field hat while he was there. He was only there for a year. So I had this North Carolina hat. I wore it. Bill Belichick comes in. He's let go. then I talked to your dad, and I was like, I have to burn this hat now, I think, because, you know, like, the only reason why I even look at North Carolina is because of Michael Jordan. But so I just have to be upfront with you. There is a North Carolina hat in this building, in this house upstairs.
Let's get that replaced. I can send you an NC State one or two.
There we go.
Yeah.
Well, when a coach sends you a hat, you're like, thanks. Like, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. But absolutely. Bummer it was from that school.
Yeah. But I just had to be upfront. I don't even think I told your dad that. Maybe I did. I don't remember. He even sent me a shirt. Like, I have a shirt and a hat.
Okay. Yeah, we'll be sending you a NC State gear box that's far better than just a shirt and a hat. And maybe I'll even throw in some Utah State stuff as well to really, really make sure we can get rid of that UNC memorabilia.
I'll take whatever I can get, but it was an on-the-field hat. But then they let him go. So then I was like, I can't like you no more because this guy's an awesome guy. And they let him go.
Absolutely.
And then he went to James Madison.
Oh, okay.
So then I tried to get something from there, and he was like, I don't know if I can send you something from James Madison. I was like, damn.
That's funny. Yeah, that's a good place to live out in Central Virginia. So fun.
What was I going to say? Oh, and then I remember your dad saying his school was almost on Last Chance U too. Like,
yes, it absolutely was. It could have been when he was there. I'm surprised it wasn't. I think it might have. I think that they also have filmed episodes there for Last Chance U. I just don't know if it's ever aired.
Well, he was happy they didn't do it. He was. I said I love to watch it, but I couldn't have been filmed like that.
Yeah, no, totally. Also very distracting from the on-the-field product.
Right. I couldn't do it. Yeah. So you didn't move around too much. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That was
comparatively to a lot of my closest friends are other college football coaches' kids. And some of them have moved a ton and some of them haven't moved that much. But I know ones that have moved every year for the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's why my wife sometimes, like, if people that don't know college football, they'll see like, oh, Brian Kelly's fired and he's due $50 million. So I'll get asked by her, why didn't you do college football? Like, you could be making this money. And I have to explain, like, that's not for everybody. That's not how it works for everybody. And then I said, don't you realize what I had to have done? What do you mean? I have to be a GA making $300 a month, like, for 10 years.
Yes. Yes. My biggest beef is when people are like, oh, my dream job is to be a fired head college football coach. You'd never hear from me again if I got that kind of buyout and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, you couldn't last a week being an offensive GA at NC State. Couldn't last a week. And you're right, you make no money.
I might have tweeted that out of what I say is the best job right now is to be a fired Power 4 football coach right now. But I only do that to stir the pot a little bit of like.
Fair enough. As long as it sounds like you're self-aware enough to know that, one, yes, not everybody makes that money. And it is a very hard journey to get there.
I talked, because of this podcast started right before COVID hit. I've been so blessed to talk to, you probably know more football coaches than I do, but I've talked to so many college coaches or just messaging them and just really finding out, because I was so naive of what they had to do to get there. And once I got told that, I was like, oh, so I always ask them, like, do you see a decline in coaching? Because I think people want to be the offense coordinator now. They want to be the quarterback's coach right now. They don't understand what they have to do to get there. And because, like, in high school, there's a decline in coaching right now. So in college, you see a lot of same people getting jobs over and over. And it's like, are there not as many coaches anymore? And I know plenty of people that got into college and then got out because they're like, I can't do it. Like, I just can't do this anymore.
Yeah, I think the thing that I love about college football coaching world is that even if you don't necessarily like a certain coach, right? You respect that in that industry, every single person had to pay their dues. It doesn't matter who you are. Lane Kiffin paid his dues. Lincoln Riley paid his dues. Like Garrett Riley paid his dues. Shane Beamer paid his dues. Those are all people who had the ability to use nepotism, but nepotism doesn't exist in college football. To the point that, yes, could he have hired him as his grad assistant? Sure. But you still have to pay your dues and work the 10 years that are unpaid where you go to school every day also and pretend you're getting a master's degree. And so, hey, most of them leave with a master's degree. That's very rude. You actually do have to have a master's degree to be a head football coach. There's very few exceptions to that rule, but you suddenly get like 10 master's degrees. So eventually you start not getting them because like you already got one from the first school, but now you're a GA at some other school because you can only GA at the same school for so long. But yeah, it's a grind. It's really a grind. And I think that what's contributing to the decline more than anything in people not working out or not pursuing the career longer is two things. One, it's not a career that you can decide you want to do when you're 30. Like it's really just not. It's a career that like you start the day you're done playing college football or the day you're done with your NFL career. There's really no like grace period there. The other issue is that with NIL and the portal and all this stuff, like people always say it's stupid as a fan. Imagine how it is as a coach. A lot of these coaches were here pre this era and learned how to build relationships and recruit and learn all these tactics to make them phenomenal coaches to get players to want to come to their university that don't even matter anymore because you just have to drop a McDonald's bag that's legal now. But like, if you can't out recruit $10 million, you can't. And how do you tell an 18-year-old kid if your option is here or here and he says, hey, Tennessee, just an example, this is arbitrary, want to make that clear. Like, this is not based in any fact or reality. But how do you tell a kid on the phone with you saying, hey, Tennessee's offering me $10 million to say no to that? It's very difficult. You don't have to be a good recruiter anymore. And don't get me wrong, I think that still wins out a lot of times because I think once you're a transfer portal kid, you don't care about the flashy stuff like you did when you were 18 years old. So like there is still part of that is important and matters. But like so many coaches have to adapt and so many coaches have retired because they're done dealing with it. I mean, can't even believe that I'm going to use basketball as an example because everyone knows that I don't care or like basketball. But like Tony Bennett, he was like, I'm just fed up with this. Dave Clawson basically said the same thing. Nick Saban said he would never want to come back into college football coaching because he doesn't want to deal with it. And it's a bummer because you lose the greats because of the world that college football has become. But I think that that's led a lot to the decline of people being in college football too.
Yeah, for sure. But it was kind of happening before that too. But it made it worse. It made it worse.
For sure.
When I talk to these coaches, when they're on here, they can't say what they want to say. Then when we're done, they'll say what they really want to say. And they feel like NFL coaches because they're just roster managing. Yeah. But in the NFL, they can't leave every year, and it's a mess. There's going to be some reins pulled on it eventually, but I do think that's a big reason. Or these guys don't want to move up higher because they're like, I don't want to deal with that. I'm going to say one of my favorite phrases of all time in football. That's a head coach problem. So these things, I look at the head coach. That sounds like a you problem. It's not a me problem, and they don't want to deal with it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, because like you said, I have friends in college and they said, I used to recruit and I used to sell the university. Like if they came to NC State, look at what we have here. Look at the history. Look at this. Look at this. Look at our weight room. Look at this.
Yep.
Now when they say kids come on campus, the first thing they say is, all right, what's my name, image, and likeness money? What's this? What's this?
Yep.
And if I was 18 years old making $10 million, forget about it.
Yeah.
But like you said, that's a good point. In the portal, there's some baggage. So I think they don't have as many options when they decide that choice to leave.
For sure. And at the end of the day, I think it does matter too. Like different players want different things out of their career. And I think when you're not 18 years old and like in awe of the facilities and the Nike gear that you get if you go to Oregon, and you're like, I just want to play for an O-line coach that puts dudes in the NFL. And because that's my next goal. Or like, hey, I'm at Oregon and that's cool and this, that, and the other, but I'm never going to play here. And I do want to play in the NFL. And the only chance you're going to play in the NFL is if you played in college. And it doesn't matter where you played. You just got to play ball. You have to play downs of football if you want to play in the NFL. And so then they transfer to schools like Jordan Love going to Utah State. Again, it doesn't matter where you go to school. If you're good enough, you'll be found. And so I think when you're a transfer portal kid, you take more of those things into consideration, or you're like, yeah, I'm definitely not good enough for the NFL, because that's the reality for a 99% of college football players. Truly, I need to go somewhere where they have engineering, or I need to go somewhere where they have medicine, because that's what I actually want to do when I'm done with this. And so I do think transfer portal, and again, $10 million is $10 million for sure, but eventually you realize you have different life goals than the 10 million from when you were 18 years old.
And then a couple of years ago, I thought of this. When this was happening, who taught them about taxes? Like they say $10 million.
Yeah.
You're going to get 4. Like,
for sure. For sure.
Like who told them about taxes? Who told them about, okay, you have this money, instead of renting, you want to buy a house because you're getting this money.
Yeah.
Cool. You bought this house. Well, now you're in the transfer portal. Guess what you have to do? You have to be an adult and sell it and do this and do that. Yeah. You're 19 years old.
Yeah. Crazy.
But I heard this phrase. I'm all for players getting paid, but one of the arguments was we're adults. We want to be adults. And then now this is happening. They're saying, okay, you're adults. Here you go. Like you want this, here you go. But, coaches can leave when they want, players can leave when they want. It's another thing players don't realize is when these coaches leave, they have to pay to leave. Now the schools cover that, but
for sure,
that's probably the next step for players is contracts. And then if you want to leave, okay, your contract's $10 million, you have to pay $3 million to leave.
100%. And I think it goes back to the point that you made about them being adults, because I am not against players getting paid either. I think you should be paid for your name, likeness, and image. Mm-hmm. Like, imagine how much money Reggie Bush could have made in this era. Oh my God. Like, I hate for him that he didn't get his bag, right? But here's the difference. It used to be, I will defend a player till the death because they're just a college kid playing the game that they love. Mm-hmm. Now you're an adult getting paid to produce a certain outcome. You better produce it now, because it's the same way as the NFL. Like, you're getting paid to produce a certain outcome. I'm expecting that outcome out of you now, especially for people who are donors. And that gets into a whole nother conversation. I donate to where my dad coaches, which everyone's going to be mad. I don't donate to my alma mater. My alma mater doesn't need money. We outdid Penn State today. So I'm not too worried about Brigham. But anyway, like, it brings into that perspective of like, hey, my money's going to these players that aren't producing. I'm irritated by that. And that's not my personal stance for sure, like, at all. But I understand people who have that frustration too. And so you want to be treated like an adult? Well, welcome to adulthood, baby. That's part of it.
Yeah. And most adults don't make that money either. So you better enjoy it right now, because
Absolutely.
And then the kids that are making the money that don't go to the NFL, what are you going to do because it's going to be gone?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, absolutely. That's why I want to take over college football. I could fix it very easily.
Hey, we all could.
I had a plan right when this started, and I could fix it.
I totally believe you. I think it's tough seeing that people who I think it's a tough seeing the governing bodies of college football at this point. for sure.
Oh yeah, they don't care.
No,
The
they care about
NCAA,
money.
well, the NCAA said, "Oh, you wanted to be paid? Here you go. Here's what's going to happen when this happens. Like, here you go." And they only care about TV deals, commercials.
Yep.
They care about NCAA March Madness. That's the only time NCAA steps in is March Madness. That's it.
Yeah. Because money.
Because of money. That's all it comes down to is money. That's why they added the two. I like the 2-minute warning because it's like the NFL, but they only did it to get more commercials put in to get more money.
100%. It's the same with them saying that they needed to run the clock before the 2 minutes on every down that wasn't a first down or out of bounds, because now they can have more commercials, less plays and more commercials.
Yep. And that screwed up a lot of offense coordinators because they had a game plan for that. They were like, we're not used to this.
Yep.
Matt Mumme, he is at Colorado State. He and that was one of the things. He was like, I got a now game plan for this. And he's not mad. He's like, I'll adjust, but he's like, when you drop this on us right before the season, now it changes everything we do.
100%. 100%. It's just, they're ruining the game that we all love. And the problem is that we love it enough that we'll follow it wherever it goes. But at some point, they need to start making better decisions and making changes that are actually impactful to all of the things that make college football so much better than the NFL.
You mean like leaving Miami and BYU out of the bracket for the college football playoff that came out about an hour ago?
I mean, screw the whole season. I don't know how the language rules on here.
You can say whatever you want. Say
screw
whatever.
the whole season and only play games in November, because if it doesn't matter that Miami won the head-to-head against Notre Dame in the beginning of the year, why play the damn game then?
See, this is what I don't understand. I first saw I didn't have time to look at it until right before, but I saw 1 through 12. But BYU's 11, Miami's 12. And I was like, in my brain, when I saw that, I said, perfect, they're in.
Yeah.
It's fixed. And then when I came down here to set this up, then the bracket came. I saw the bracket and I said, wait. Now this could change. If Alabama loses in the SEC, are they knocked out? But I'm like, you already put them in.
Yeah.
Notre Dame is number 10. And you have Miami out. Like, this doesn't make sense. And like you said, that was a bad loss for Alabama against Florida State. Like, if Florida State went 12-0 again, then it's a good loss. But
for sure.
The committee, this is why the NCAA doesn't rule college football. The committee does, and all of them, they run it. And there's a lot of biased stuff in there. And what else does BYU have to do to show that they have a shot? I'm not a Miami fan whatsoever, but they deserve a shot. They beat Notre Dame.
Yeah. And Notre Dame's not going to move because they don't have another game to play. And granted, neither does Miami. But again, that shouldn't matter because they won the head-to-head. And in the committee's breakdown of what matters, supposedly head-to-head is number 1. So throw that out the window for everybody but the SEC, I guess. And the other thing that bothers me, and again, I'm not a Miami fan either. I could care less what happens to them, but they deserve to be in over if Notre Dame is in, Miami has to be in. The other thing that is irksome to me is you leave out Florida State in 2023 because their quarterback goes down. Don't agree with it, right? It very much sets a precedence when you leave out a Power 4 undefeated team.
Mm-hmm.
My problem then goes to the fact that Lane Kiffin leaves Ole Miss and takes his entire offensive staff with them, and that doesn't push them out of the playoff.
Well, Charlie Weiss, I guess, is going back to coach, which Lane Kiffin came out today and said he told the committee, hey, Charlie Weiss Jr. is coming back. He's going to coach in the game to try not to affect.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to coach in the game where I never called the plays anyways because Lane Kiffin was doing it.
Well, I'm going to get to that because I have a lot of thoughts on that, but I saw this. So Ole Miss still number 6. So does this mean if Virginia wins, they go to the playoff?
Yeah, I would imagine. If they don't, that's equally as bad.
Because it just says conference champ number 4 and number 5. What does that mean? Because you have Georgia and Alabama in, and they're playing for the SEC. Like, it doesn't make sense. Like,
yeah, that's the Big 12 champion and the ACC champion, which again presents a whole other issue because what if Duke wins?
if Duke wins, it's going to get blown up. It's going to.
Yeah, it is, and then no ACC team's going to get in because Notre Dame's going to get in, and Texas is going to get in or some dumb thing like that.
Texas does not deserve to be in the playoff.
No.
I'm sorry. You're like, I'm sadly an Illinois fan, for better or worse, I am. They're 9-3, and I'm sitting here telling people they don't deserve it. Yeah, they lost to Ohio State, good loss. They lost to Indiana, good loss. But then losing to Wisconsin is what, like, that loss, like, all that stuff. Or they're 8-4, sorry, not 9-3. But like, if they were gonna be, they just had some bad losses. But they beat USC. Like, there was this big conversation about them. But I'm like, they don't deserve it. So Texas, don't lose to Florida then.
No, it's literally that simple. You know what solves every problem? Winning football games. If you win football games, you don't have to convince the committee you deserve to be in. You showed it on the field. Bottom line.
Right. Like, it's Notre Dame screws this up because they always put them in.
Always.
Which, you know how you solve this? Every team says, we don't want to play you. Like, go. That's how you solve it.
I'm going to look into, I really don't know enough about the topic as to why the ACC has contracts with them about playing a certain number of ACC teams each year. It must have to do with Notre Dame paying us for that or something. But yeah, I think everyone should just be like, yeah, we're not playing you. And then they're going to have to play Bowling Green 17 times in the season. And then you're definitely not going to get in.
It probably used to be Notre Dame's TV deal. Like, hey, you get a percentage because we're on TV. And
yeah, I'm pretty sure that is true. We get a portion of the NBC percentage when the ACC plays Notre Dame. Because the contract I do know is that Notre Dame's required to play, I'm fairly certain it's 3 ACC teams a year. Of course, except for when it's inconvenient, 2020 COVID, and Notre Dame won't play any football at all if they don't join the ACC and are forced to. So,
funny how that worked.
Yeah.
Funny how that worked.
Yeah.
I don't know. The committee, they just go with see, I live in Big Ten country, so I understand, but they want Big Ten SEC because that's where the money is.
For sure.
I think they want the ACC to blow up and join Big Ten SEC is what they want.
No, absolutely, that's what they want. And I will do everything that I can in my power to never make that happen because I love having Cal, Stanford, and SMU in the ACC. It's fun. They're fun teams, all the things. But miss me with that crap. What do you mean we killed the Pac-12? Regional football is way better, way more important. Let us have our Pac-12 after dark. Let us have our West Coast air raid offenses. Like, you're killing the sport when you do this big mega conference stuff. And I hope everyone learned their lesson this year because these big mega conferences mean that you have rematches in the championships and that some of these heavy hitters didn't even have to play the top 6 teams in their conference and made their conference championship. And I'm not shitting on UVA for making the ACC championship, but they played 2 of the top 8 ACC teams. You know how many NC State played? The top 8. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
And again, it's a roll the dice, and who would have ever thought those would be the top 8? No big deal. But like, mega conferences don't solve this. This is terrible. And fine, I hope the ACC collapses then and joins the SEC and the Big 12, and then we just go back to regionalized football, and those are the only 2 conferences, and they make sub-conferences, divisions out of that are 8 teams, and you have to play everyone. fine. If that's what it's going to take, then do it. Because this is dumb.
Right. I miss the original Big Ten, ACC,
Yeah.
SEC.
Yeah.
Pac-12 After Dark was awesome. I'd coach Friday night football game. I'd come home, and I was a Mike Leach fan, so when Washington State was on, bam, like 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock, bam, there we go.
Yep. Same. That's what I grew up on Pac-12 After Dark. That's like my nostalgic childhood.
Yeah,
Just
and
bummer.
you had the SEC that was ground and pound, tough football. You had Big 12 that threw it around. You had Pac-12 that threw it around. You had Big 10 that was both. You had ACC that was both. Like, it sucks. Like it sounds awesome on paper when this happened, but just because it was different, you're adding teams, cool, blah blah. But they can schedule each other. Like Texas could have stayed in the Big 12 and scheduled some SEC schools. Like there's no need to join and
100%. There's no need to, along those same lines, there's absolutely no need to kill rivalries. Like in no world should Texas and Texas A&M have not played for the 8 years that they were in different conferences. Like that's just stupid. Same thing with BYU, Utah. They didn't play a lot in the 2010s because obviously Utah was in the Pac-12 and BYU was independent. And that's just dumb. Don't let rivalries die.
Right. And especially with the transfer portal and paying players, the playing field can level out now.
Yes.
If they would have stayed the same and this would have happened.
Yeah.
You saw in the SEC, Nick Saban's the greatest college football coach of all time. It was hard for him to adapt to this world, but the Lane Kiffins of the world and them adapted, so they got these players and it started to level out. Kirby Smart's figured it out. It's leveling out. Look at Oregon. Like if they were staying in the Pac-12, they'd be dominating because they figured it out. Like they're Dan Lanning. Like I don't know. It gives me a headache thinking about it. And then you look at this and, maybe 8 teams was the right way to go instead of 12. Maybe. But even then, I told my friend, I remember growing up, the top 25 meant something back in the day. Like if you were top 25, oh, good Lord. Now people don't care. They care about the playoff rankings. They care about. So I said, this is how you solve it then. Top 25 make the playoff. Let's make it worth something again. The number 1 seed gets a bye. The rest of you play.
Yeah. I mean, something has to change. I think 12 was never the number and it should have been 8. But it's just not good. And everyone's like, oh, well, it's growing pains and it will get better and it will fix itself. But in the meantime, people are getting screwed.
They said that about the 4 team. They said it will figure itself out. And it never figured it out.
Bad. Very bad.
Well, they should have done FCS, play 9 games, then have a playoff.
Yep.
But then they lose money. They're like, we that's less games that we get televised and blah, 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 blah. It's how much money is too much money is the question.
I think the limit doesn't exist for the NCAA. They will do anything to make it so that it makes more and more money. Whatever they can do for more money, they're going to do.
I kind of want Duke to win now. I want to see this blow up. I want to see.
I would love to see what would happen if Duke won.
I want to see what happens. I want Duke to win. I want Georgia to win because I want to see if they'll push Bama out.
Yes.
As I have my Alabama helmet over here. But
no, I want Georgia to win also for that same reason.
I only have the Alabama stuff for Nick Saban. So, like, I'm a coach fan. Like, I love.
Absolutely.
So, I was a Nick Saban fan. So, I remember getting an Alabama shirt or something. People said I was a bandwagoner, so to piss people off, I just kept getting more Alabama stuff. I was like, oh, okay, here we go. And then Nick Saban retired. So, I was like, all right. Like, I like Kellen DeBoer. Like, he's a good coach, good people. But I'm not – I used to tweet all the time, roll tide, just to make people mad. And I don't do it no more. They're like, see, you were a bandwagon. Like, I was like, yeah, I was a bandwagon for Nick Saban.
No, 100%. I totally get it because people are always like, you root for too many teams. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do when I know the entire offensive staff at the University of Utah? Not root for them? Those people are like my closest family friends.
That's how this podcast happened. So like I met all these people. I'm like, I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you. And then they leave. Like the guy I knew that went to North Carolina. I was like, I have to root for North Carolina for that 1 year.
Yeah.
Matt Mummy was at Nevada. I had to root for Nevada, and then he went to Colorado State, so I had to root for Colorado State. Like just 100%. Things like that.
No, people are always like, "You're only an NC State fan because your dad coaches there." Yeah, no shit. Thanks. Like,
yeah,
obviously. Great. Wow, you're not a UVA fan anymore. I never said I wasn't a UVA fan anymore. My dad doesn't coach there anymore. Now I'm an NC State fan because that's where he coaches now. People are like, that's so rude. I root for my alma mater, but then it's like, oh, you're a fan of too many schools. Well, my brother plays at Utah State, so am I not supposed to root for him? My dad played football in college with Sark, and you want me to not root for Texas? Okay.
Right.
Like what? It's just dumb.
Well, that's what college football is so great. You can root for all these teams. Like NFL, you don't do that.
No.
College football, you do.
100%. In the NFL, I am a Detroit Lions fan, and I hope, I'm so sorry because I see the Bears helmet right there. I hope the rest of the NFC North burns to the ground. And that is saying that as like the most players my dad has ever coached that are in the NFL are all on NFC North teams that aren't the Detroit Lions.
So I grew up in Illinois, so I was a Bears fan, Illini fan, Cubs fan, Blackhawks.
Yeah.
Here's my problem. I just like sports and football. And I'm a coach fan. So what happened? I love Dan Campbell. I love Dan Campbell.
Great. Yeah,
so I
love them.
I do have a Detroit Lions like coaching apparel upstairs.
Love it.
And people hate me because like you're a Bears fan. I'm like, I know when the Bears play the Lions, it's I root for the Bears. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
And they're like, well, wait a minute. I was like, I hate the Packers more, and I never have hated the Lions ever. I know I'm supposed to, but I don't. Even before Dan Campbell, it was just never like, oh, it's the Lions.
Yeah.
The Vikings and Packers, I can't stand. Like, I can't stand them.
Yeah.
So I love Dan Campbell. So I'm like, he's my type of coach. Like, so I root for the Lions when they're not playing the Bears.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. Same. It's like Jordan Love is on the Green Bay Packers, and my brother goes to Utah State, and Anthony Belton is on the Packers, and he played for my dad at NC State, and Dontavian Wicks is on the Packers, and he played for my dad at the University of Virginia. And so, yes, every time the Packers are not playing the Detroit Lions, I'm rooting for the Packers. So.
Yeah, there's a school in our conference. They had a lineman go to the Bears, Doug Kramer. They put him at fullback a couple times. So he's a hometown guy.
Love it.
Around here. My friend's brother bounced around in the NFL. He was with the Bears. Right, when he was on the Ravens at one point, I was like, oh, I got to watch the Ravens. I was like, oh, my gosh. Then he went to the Bengals. I was like, oh, like I have to watch. Because I coached him when he was a freshman in high school. So I was like, I have to watch this.
Yeah, you have to. And I will say this, like and again, it goes back to exactly that. It's like, I have so many teams because what you don't want me to root for the players that my dad got drafted in the NFL. Like I'm rooting for them. What do you mean? I'm sorry, but like also some of these people are my friends. Don't forget, I went to college with my dad's players too. Like, you want me to not root for Taysom Hill? Like, I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen.
Right. Yeah, I get the same thing. They're like, why do you know all these college teams? I'm like, well, I talked to all these coaches.
Yeah.
And I just they hook you up with somebody, then this happens and this happens, and I randomly will text them, hey, good luck this week, or hey, I've been watching, or this or that. And sometimes they go, who are you again? But what's awesome is sometimes I will give college coaches credit. Sometimes I'll say good luck and they go, oh, we saw your guys' season. And I'm like, you are in California. How do you know how I did?
Hey.
And we don't have Division I recruits. And they're like, oh, we just know. We just know.
They are paying people to watch and know and make sure they're informed. They know. They know. And everyone has ties to their hometown. So like my dad knows what's going on in the state of California high school football. He doesn't recruit that area, but like he's from there, so he knows what's up.
Yeah, it was just random coaches. I texted. I was just like, hey, blah, blah. And like, oh, we saw you in 8-1 in the regular season. Good job. And I'm like, you're not recruiting here. How do you know what we did?
That's so funny. Yeah, they know. They always know. They're always watching.
I guess move on from that is what a crazy coaching carousel this season. Lots of new head coaches. And one of them outshined the other, but I'm not going to talk about that right now because it gives me a headache. We're going to be positive. Pat Fitzgerald to Michigan State was awesome. I watched his press conference. Michigan State's back. They are back with Pat Fitzgerald.
Michigan State will be back. You know what? I'm going to make a hot take. What are we? 2025, 26, 27, 2028 Michigan State college football playoff Final Four.
I believe it. I believe it because people were saying that he's not going to do well because he's not going to. So when this whole Lane Kiffin thing was happening, I'm on paternity leave, so I'm home all day. I'm on YouTube. I'm listening to podcasts, and a lot of them make me so mad because I'm a guy that's like, if you're not like, more football because you grew up in it, your dad knows it, you know it. These people on these podcasts either didn't play, they look at it. I have very bad views. And so I'm watching these people talk, and one of them, it was the Cover 3 podcast one. I'm watching it. Oh, Pat Fitzgerald can't do well because he doesn't know how to do the transfer portal. He's too old school. And I'm like, he was at Northwestern when the transfer portal started.
Yes.
Northwestern's super high academic, so you can't just get whoever you want.
Yes.
And nobody knew how to manage the portal back in 2020, 2021.
Correct.
So what are we getting at here? Like, these people
have no idea. People have no idea. I think whenever I feel like losing my mind over people not getting it, because the bottom line is they just never will. And like, and again, like no one's asking them to, honestly. I just hate when they pretend like they know and they don't. People were calling for Nick Saban, the greatest college football coach of all times, head after they lost the national championship to LSU in 2019. To arguably one of the top 3, I will say in my lifetime, I'm 30, but let's just say from 2000, because that's kind of like, that's when I was 5 years old, and I don't remember college football much before that. Like, in my lifetime, top 2 college football team ever. That's how dumb people are. That's when I just remember, like, people are idiots. People were wanting Nick Saban fired from Alabama because he lost to 2019 LSU in the national championship. Like,
even to Clemson, they said that. They were like, maybe he's done. The dynasty's over. And just
what?
Like,
they just don't get it. They don't get it.
They don't get it, and they don't want to do the work. So, like, literally, while I'm watching this podcast, the guy that said it had to go on his computer and be like, "No, I have to prove you wrong. Look at Pat Fitzgerald's records when the transfer portal hit. He was like 1 and whatever, and this and that." And I'm like, if I remember watching that season because I just visited him at Northwestern, so I was like, I'm going to make it a point to pay attention to Northwestern.
Yeah,
a lot of injuries that year.
Yeah,
and he said, he goes, I have to play freshmen and sophomores versus these 23-year-old guys. And he had a new defense coordinator that year and this and that. Like, just things happen. And then the whole scandal, whatever happened. So like he's been out of it too long and he can't do it. And I'm like, it's probably better he sat back and watched this landscape unfold. And
100%.
he was coaching at Loyola Academy where his sons go here in Illinois. So he was still like involved. He was
Yep.
going to practices at colleges and seeing, like, he just loves coaching. So he's now. So I would love to just talk to these people and be like, now imagine you take Pat Fitzgerald, who can develop players. Now you give him money to pay players to come, and there's no perfect grade and this high academic thing that's going to stop him.
Yep.
It's because I'm an Illinois guy. It scares me. It scares me that he's at Michigan State, but he's going to do well. Like he's going to kill it.
He's going to absolutely kill it. It is a home run hire for Michigan State outside of James Franklin being hired at Virginia Tech. In my opinion, it's the best hire of the cycle.
Oh, that was a steal for Virginia Tech.
Yeah.
Which Penn State's looking real stupid right now.
The best is I tweeted yesterday and I said, whoever thinks that Penn State has more money than BYU is hysterical. And they came for me. They came for my head and they were like, we had more in revenue. We had more that money donated to sports. We had this. And I was like, you're right. On paper, it shows all those things. But BYU is a private institution. They don't have to release all their financials. And then someone's like, we have the owner of the Buffalo Bills. And I'm like, there is one man that owns every professional sports team in the state of Utah who also went to BYU. And the Marriotts went to BYU. Like, and I know the person who isn't anymore, but was over the NIL for Penn State for the last 5 years. I know exactly what their financial situation is. So again, it goes back to, it's just funny how people want to argue points that they know nothing about.
Well, like you just gave me knowledge. I had no clue because I'm so naive, but people need to be like, well, why does BYU have more money, instead of being like, you're wrong, being like, well, why? Like, why do they have more money? So I just learned something like, oh, that makes a lot of sense as to, but it's because they're not flashy on TV like Penn State is.
Well, and then they're like, well, we can pay him way more. I never said you couldn't, but just because BYU isn't paying him more doesn't mean they can't afford to.
Right. And they fired James Franklin because he couldn't win the big games, and now they don't have a head coach.
Yeah, I have no idea who they're going to get. Apparently, they're waiting to see who UCLA hires.
Apparently, they just hired the guy, James Madison. What's his name?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can picture his face.
I know, I can see it. Chesney.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
It says he was hired yesterday, which I don't know if that's true.
Really?
Or not.
Dang, I didn't know that happened yesterday either. That's interesting. That's an interesting hire, in my opinion.
I thought he should have stayed at James Madison. I think that's a better place than UCLA right now.
Okay, I don't necessarily agree with that because a power 4 job will always be better than a group of 5 in terms of like establishing your career, especially if you turn out to be a hit, right? I think it's interesting because like this man doesn't have any California ties. He's from Pennsylvania. He went to college in Pennsylvania, and the state of California, great example is Lincoln Riley at USC. Like, they're doing good, but we all know the potential that USC has. And if you can't recruit the kids in California to stay in California, you're not going to win football games there. And you also need to rely heavily on the JUCO like community college system in California for players at those schools. And that's a tight-knit circle of people that if you're not in that circle, they're not sending your players to your school. And he doesn't have any ties to the West Coast. I mean, that's not to say he won't hire people that do or that don't or whatever. But it is an interesting hire, in my opinion.
Those are great points. I didn't even, because I know Lincoln Riley can't recruit California, and I wasn't even thinking about the JUCOs. I was not even thinking, because I know the D-line coach at Langley, and so I message him sometimes. He does tell me that like he has ties with like those schools, but he goes, as of recent, we don't. Like as of recent,
yeah,
they're going elsewhere.
Yeah, that matters. That matters a lot in California. And whenever those schools have been good at football, it's always been when the Southern California kids stayed in Southern California.
Well, that's why I thought Lincoln Riley going to USC was unique at the time.
Very.
Because it's funny because he was like, I have to go to a kind of like the Lane Kiffin thing. I have to go to a place where I'm putting myself in position to win. Oklahoma's in the playoffs, like right now with Brent Venables. Like it's very interesting. I always thought Oklahoma was a powerhouse, like a big time, winning school. And then you go to USC, and this was the one year you could have made the playoffs, but losing to Illinois hurt you, and then losing again, like I don't think he's going to get there. Like they're doing good because he's a good offensive mind, which saves them a lot. Yeah. But just when you can't get those kids to stay, like Pete Carroll used to do, he used to get them to stay. But yeah, on ESPN it says, he said he was hired yesterday, and I thought it was just rumored.
I thought it was rumored too. I didn't know it was done deal yet because I was talking to someone today about Penn State, and they said that they were waiting to hear who they hired, and so I'm surprised that. Interesting. No, I also just looked it up, and you're not wrong. I just didn't see that. That's interesting.
Like you said earlier, I have to be wary about what I read. So when I'm on Twitter, I have to be very careful about, because it gives me a headache when it's. I think I said it during the Lane Kiffin thing. I think I tweeted, if I see one more sources thing, I'm gonna be so mad. I
think I saw you tweet that because it is so true. People and their sources, because truthfully, anybody who's a real source is never going to share information. Like college football coaches' kids.
Right.
Like, we are never going to share information. We just aren't. And there's a lot that I will say. And my whole goal of being online is to have people understand our perspective a little bit more. But like, hey, if you're someone who's watching this and you're like, how do I get insider information? Your best bet is a college football coach's kid. We know so much that we don't say. You're going to have to pay up, but you can maybe get them to talk. That's who knows the deets.
Well, that's why with the Lane Kiffin thing, I saw a guy who used to coach. He is friends with Somerville and stuff. He straight up said, I can't say anything until it's done. And then once it was done, now he's like, I don't care no more. So he's starting to spew it out now.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And so that's where it was like, well, am I wrong? I was wrong because I had to go by what I knew. So I was like, oh, I was really wrong on this. But even though they're saying it, I'm like, I don't think that's true. It just doesn't add up. And it's, I don't know, but I've been wrong on a lot of these. I said Penn State should have went after Pat Fitzgerald for sure, and they didn't. So
yeah, I think that they should have. You and I know why they should have. I think that would have been a very risky hire for an AD that people already aren't happy with. And I don't mean that from a Pat Fitzgerald coaching standpoint. I just think that realistically, the reason people fire their coach is for the insurge of money that they'll get from people being hyped about the new one. And I don't think that would have hyped up the Penn State fan base, at least based off of the interactions I've had with them in the last 15 hours of them mercilessly ridiculing me. But I agree. I think that they absolutely should have gone after him.
Yeah, I said that was going to happen. I said Lane Kiffin was going to stay. And I was wrong. My gut was telling me he was staying, and I was completely wrong on that one.
I thought he would go to Florida. I'm very surprised he didn't go to Florida. I'm going to be honest.
Well, let's just get it out of the way. He went to LSU. I have a whole episode. I wasn't really defending him, but I was tired of watching sources, and I was tired of watching this, and I had to tell like what I thought was real, in that he didn't handle it well, but he handled it the way he thought he should have. I get it. There was something in his brain that told him that he could coach in the playoff while taking this job. He was wrong. We all know that. And then at the time, there was that report that he gave coaches an ultimatum of like, come with me or you don't have a job. He did the interview for 5 minutes on the the terminal, whatever. He said he didn't say that. So I had to go by what he said. No other coach came out and said that was true. No player at the time came out. So I had to come out and say, stop spewing that until you know it's true. Yeah. Right? Like don't spew this everywhere. And then now people are coming out saying it's true. Coaches are saying it's true. Like they're just personally texting them. They're like, we still don't have. And then like, I'm like, are you sure he gave you an ultimatum, or did he just say, if you come with me, you have a job at LSU. If you don't, I can't promise you you're going to have a job.
Which is absolutely a thing that's real. So could totally be something that he said.
And then he doubled down in his press conference, and people are saying he's lying. Like the AD had him in a hotel room and they're going at it and like all this stuff. And it's like, I don't know what's real, what's not real. Then I heard today from a guy who said he knows for a fact that Lane Kiffin told LSU 4 or 5 weeks ago that he was coming.
Oh, I believe that wholeheartedly.
Which I was shocked because Lane Kiffin was like a changed person. I watched the documentary. I've been listening to him. I'm like, he's a changed person, right? He's lost all this weight and he's, very healthy and they're winning, and I don't know.
Yeah. I believe that he told them far and long ago. I don't hate Lane Kiffin at all for what he did. Do I think that he handled it was interesting? Sure. But am I surprised by it? No, that's very much the Lane Kiffin way to handle something like this, to be honest. We've seen it happen mostly everywhere. I'm not surprised that like I said, I'm surprised he didn't go to Florida. Truthfully, that was surprising to me. I guess LSU really offered him something he couldn't refuse, and I think that's what it came down to. I believe he told them as soon as he had decided, which I do think was probably weeks ago. I would say that, like, from my perspective, like, one, I do think that Lane Kiffin is one of those coaches that can be bought, and that's sheerly speculation. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying that, like, there's coaches I know that I think all coaches do it for the love of the game, but I do know that there's some who do it for the love of the game. And if someone's offering more money, they're going to take it, right? But a lot goes into decisions like that we don't see. And some of those things are like, oh, are my kids at ages where it makes sense for us to move? Mm-hmm. Or does my son really want to play football at LSU? And the only way I can guarantee that happening is if I coach there. And hey, someone in my family has a serious medical condition and I need to make sure that I have health insurance for them for the next 5 years. And that's how long my contract is here. And I don't know what my contract is at Ole Miss. And those are the things. And like, I'm not saying it was any of those things. I don't know this man's personal life circumstance, or like maybe his wife, ex-wife / they're back together. I don't really know. Said she wanted to move there, and it's a family decision. Like, there's so much more to it outside of the football decision and aspect of it. Do I think that LSU will be an easier school to win a national championship at? Technically, yes, because they'll provide him with everything that he could possibly need to win one. And I don't even think Ole Miss wasn't. LSU is just a bigger brand than Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I've been so engulfed in this the last 2 days because I am at home, so I can just the things that have come out now where he wanted the Florida job, but apparently they were telling him who to hire for certain things.
Which that is a thing that happens. And I know a lot of coaches that turn down jobs for that, because how are you supposed to run your program if you're told you have to hire these coaches?
So that turned him off.
Yeah, that would turn me off too.
So that's what he wanted. He wanted to go to Florida because I think he liked living there when he was at Florida Atlanta. I think he likes being there. So that was the first thing I heard. So then LSU came into the picture, and he told them yes weeks ago. But he was communicating with the athletic director of Ole Miss of like, this is what's going on. So the whole of like, he's just now finding out is false. But I don't think he told the athletic director he was taking it. I think he was just saying, like, we're talking, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
And he told him that Saturday night.
I don't think he owes the Ole Miss athletic director that information. And look, I didn't think I would be here sitting here defending the hell out of Lane Kiffin, but I do agree with that portion of it.
That I don't think he does either. I think it's because it was a verbal yes. There was nothing like.
Yeah. Very different.
And Lane Kiffin's up there saying it was a hard decision and people don't believe him. I think it was a hard decision because this is his longest tenured school of all time, 6 years.
It was absolutely a hard decision. When people say that they don't believe things like that are hard decisions, and again, they're not going to understand this life because they don't live this life. Every coaching decision is a hard decision. Every single one, whether it's you leave, you stay, you get fired, you have to get fired. Like, do you think head coaches like firing their guy? They came there with that guy and they personally handpicked that guy. They spent 100 hours a week together for the last probably 10 years. They don't want to. All football coaching decisions are hard decisions. Yeah.
What else was I wrong on? There was a couple things. Apparently, LSU didn't offer him more money in name, image, likeness. Ole Miss was matching it and like all this stuff. And I'm like, until I see it, I don't know how true that is what these guys were saying. I don't think Lane Kiffin would have left if that wasn't true. I think he would have stayed.
I don't think that there was ever going to be a world where Lane Kiffin stayed at Ole Miss when LSU and Florida were his options.
Right. And he did what he was supposed to do. He stayed there for 6 years. He made it I know they hired Pete, but if Lane would have took that 4 weeks ago, that would have been a destination spot for somebody. Like, look at Ole Miss.
Yeah, 100%. I do think that hiring Pete Golding wasn't necessarily a bad thing. I do think it was a panicky thing, though.
Yeah, because people are saying Lane, when he said he was leaving 4 or 5 weeks ago, he should have just left right then and there. But also, us coaches were very competitive, and so I think Lane was like, "Well, I want to coach this team. Like, I want to finish this." And see if we get to the playoff and see if we can finish it. So he just wanted to coach it out and see. And now they're in that position. So I understand where Lane's coming. Like, yes, maybe the best way to handle it is just left 4 or 5 weeks ago. Like, hey, you have plenty of time to hire somebody. But I also think Lane I don't think even though he said yes, I think he just said yes because that's what he wanted. But I think he was also, he's like, a part of him's like, I want to stay a little bit, like it was very tough. I don't think people understand that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think people understand that. I think also too, like, full transparency, I think if this was last year and it was like Jackson Dart, he wouldn't have left. He would have waited till the end of the season and knowing that that was their last season, because all coaches love their players equally, but they love them differently. And some just do mean more to you than others. And so I think that you can see the relationship that Jackson Dart and Lane Kiffin had and have. He goes to his NFL games when he can. I think that that's one of those deciding factors. And I'm not saying any negative feelings towards Trinidad Chambliss. That's not what I mean. It's just that, like, clearly you can tell that they had different relationships, and Lane and Jackson had way more time together as well. So I'm not saying it couldn't have become something either. But, like, you would ride or die. I would ride or die for my dad's players. I can't imagine how much more I would ride or die for them if I was their head coach. So right. Yeah, it's always going to be a hard decision, even if it is the right one. That doesn't, not all decisions that are the right ones are easy to make.
Well, and then people were mad because he sent his family to Gainesville and Baton Rouge on an airplane. Well, he explained it. He was like, well, yeah, my family is important. So he said, if they don't like those areas, then I'm not even going to entertain going. But 100%. They were all 100%. They were mad about that.
Who is mad at that? Well, crazy.
Well, Lane's easy to hate, very much so, and I get why people hate him.
Yes, I do too.
So right now, all I've seen the last 2 days, like I said, I'm probably more engulfed in this than I should. I'm watching everything on YouTube. These people, if I was at school working, I wouldn't have had time to do it. But since I'm home,
sure. Yeah,
everybody was like, how would you feel if your head football coach was sending their family to this and to this school? He was talking to the athletic director the whole time. Like, they knew, like, he knew what was going on. And, like,
how would your wife feel if you took some job in frickin' Bakersfield, California, and you never took her there?
Right.
And it's not like you could go there with him. He's in the middle of football season.
I'm not mad about what he did. He was like, hey, this is what I said. I think I said on my podcast, I said, him sending his family there is smart because they have to like where they're going. And then the plus side, if he doesn't go, hey guys, you just had a free 2-day trip. They're buying you food. They're doing this. Like, go. They're going to pay for it. Go. And if I don't go, you had a free weekend.
Anybody who's the next person you see who's mad about that, tag me, because that is insanity to me. And I do agree. I think that Lane Kiffin is very polarizing. And so it's you love him or you hate him. And I can see why people feel both ways. But people will be mad at the stupidest stuff. That's really dumb. And please never let a man who will decide that we're moving somewhere without ever asking me, find me. Please never let one of those men find me, because every coach I've ever known in the history of my 30 years of life, which I've known a lot, have never made a decision without consulting the rest of their family. And if they have, I check out my podcast. I've interviewed coaches all the time. They say the biggest regret in their career is the one time they decided to make a selfish decision without consulting the rest of their
family. One of them was AJ McCarron on a podcast. He is very fired up about it.
No, that's just, I'm fired up about how dumb people are for thinking that. That's just, and I don't normally want to, I am much more promoting what I love instead of bashing people who are dumb. But that is just a objectively bad opinion of this.
Right. And it didn't affect the players. They knew it. They saw the video.
100%.
just a bunch of stuff came out. He gave coaches ultimatums that night. He had the contracts typed up for the assistant coaches. So he already knew. And I'm like, okay, then the 4-week thing was true. He has these contracts ready. I don't know if he gave him an ultimatum. I'd like to think he just said, if you come with me now, you have a job. If you don't, I can't promise you one. Is that an ultimatum? Maybe. But he even said, he goes, they have to make their own grown-up decisions. Like if they're going to stay and coach the playoff, awesome. And if they don't, then they have a job with me.
Yeah, I just have, again, I have a hard time believing insider sources, especially with things just like don't even make sense. Like, I'm mad that his family visited Gainesville and Baton Rouge.
Well, that it all tied together of like, you waited till the last moment. You're trying to burn the university down. You're trying to recruit the coaches. You're trying to recruit the players to go to LSU. You should have just left 4 or 5 weeks ago. So that way Ole Miss could have hired somebody in the cycle and try to get this and that. My argument was if Lane left and they didn't hire Pete Golding, there's still coaches out there. So if they wanted to post it and go get somebody, they still can.
Well, and not only that, again, like, does Lane Kiffin portray himself slightly as an individual who's selfish? Sure. But he also has every right to make the right decision for him and himself and his family. And if the way that he went about this situation was the right way to do it for them, whether we like it or not, he doesn't care.
No, that's why I'm like, if he felt like this was the right way to do it for himself.
Yeah.
And there was probably that part of him where he was regretting saying yes to LSU, and that's why he kept going, because he's like, maybe I'll stay, maybe I won't, even though I think he knew he was leaving. But I think a part of him was like, I want to finish this.
Yeah. I think all coaches want to finish what they started for the season. I truly do believe that, especially just like the mid-season firings. I get why they happen, but it sucks. You're a coach, you've put in a lot of hours. You want to see it out. You're competitive by nature. You have this sickness that is a love for college football that's like so beyond anything. So like wholly locked in on one thing. Like not being able, I think all coaches would agree on it. Like they don't like when other coaches get fired mid-season because they're like, yeah, I'd be pissed if that was me because I want to finish what I started.
Right. Right. But then also
good, bad, or ugly.
And then for Lane, Ole Miss fans can be mad, of course. Like your coach, and it's just a unique situation. Would they have been this mad if they weren't in the playoff? Like that's the thing is, if it was a bowl game, I don't think they'd be as mad. But also coaches, we're also very competitive. So maybe he has an itch that hasn't been scratched yet where he's like, if I go to LSU, maybe this is it. And he even said, he goes, I have to prove this right. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
Yeah. Never be attached to the outcome.
No, and he's a guy that he wants to be wanted. You could tell.
Yes.
So when his USC debacle happened, he loved that Nick Saban gave him an opportunity. He loved that Florida Atlantic wanted him. He loved that Ole Miss wanted to take a chance. But it's just all this stuff. Like now you're seeing all the stuff of like how bad of a person he is, and it's coming from Ole Miss fans, and I laugh. I'm like, weren't you just praising him like 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And then he leaves, and
I don't think you get to switch it up like that, truly. Just because somebody, this might be a very controversial take. Just because somebody did something that you don't like and it hurt your feelings doesn't mean you all of a sudden get to start slandering them. That's just my opinion, right? Like, I mean, you get to decide your actions and you don't get to decide the consequence of those actions. But like you were praising him 3 weeks ago and all he did was leave your school to coach at another one, which is something that's totally normal and people do all the time. and now you're deciding to expose everything that he's the shittiest person in the entire world. Like, I have a problem with like just that whole thing in and of itself.
Oh yeah.
That ideology. Like, you're living by this ideology that like it doesn't matter what somebody is doing if they're serving you in the way that you would like, but the second they switch up on you, now you're going to expose everything that they did that you hated. Like that's like that. You know what that exactly is? That's like you have this boyfriend or girlfriend for a year and a half, and then you break up and you start posting all the shit you hate about them online. It's like, you look crazy.
Mm-hmm. Right? I laugh at it. You're right. I laugh at it because I don't know. I just laugh at it because it's so funny that they get that mad. But then he just gave you 6 years of his life to try to build up your program. And the funny thing is, like, I'm an Illinois fan. I do not talk shit when Illinois had a chance to be really good this year, and they didn't do it. But I know where Illinois has come from. They don't have a great history of this. Illinois basketball is really good right now, but there was a 8-year period where we weren't, so I'm very careful. Ole Miss fans now act like they are Alabama. Like, that's what they're acting like right now, is like, how could you leave? And I'm like, don't you remember what it was before he got there? Like, Ole Miss hasn't been that good in football for a very long time. Very long. So be careful when you're doing this, because now you're going to chase other coaches away because they're like, I'm not going to deal with this if I leave. And then the thing is, like, Somerville is hired at Florida. I didn't see anything about hate for him. And I know it's a completely different situation, but it's his team had a chance to be in the playoff, and they're getting ready for a conference championship game. There's a small chance. Their AD's letting him coach in it. Well, and then they're like, well, if he would have just handled it the way Sumrall did, we'd all not be mad. And I'm like, you guys kind of seem like a group of people that were going to be mad regardless of how Lane Kiffin handled this. Right. And it's because Somerville's not Lane Kiffin. Mm-hmm. Exactly. And I will say this as well. Like, for all of the things, no one should be surprised that this is the way Lane Kiffin went about it. This is who he is. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I didn't think it was ever going to happen. He was going into year 6. I'm like, maybe he is staying. He didn't go to Alabama like this. Maybe he is. And then, it starts swirling, and I'm like, here we go. It's going to happen. And like, if you're Ole Miss and you went back 6 years ago and you said you're going to hire Lane Kiffin, you're going to go 11-1 at some point and make the college football playoff, but this is how it's going to end. Lane Kiffin's going to do this. Are you still hiring him? And the answer better be yes, because you won a lot of football games with him. Like, the answer still better be yes. 100%. 100%. And they're going to, like, holier than thou and be like, no, we never would have. Then you wouldn't have hired him in the first place, because, again, this has always been who Lane Kiffin is. So nothing about the way he handled it should be surprising to you. Right. You just didn't know when it was going to happen. Exactly. And I think the Tennessee leaving is worse than this. That's just me. Exactly. So when people are like, I thought he was a changed man and I really believed him, which is so funny that you said that, because I have seen that argument a lot. I don't disagree. And I saw a version of Lane Kiffin these last couple of years that was somebody who I liked a lot more, because obviously he was in Southern California at the same time that I lived there and grew up there, and I didn't like him. And he convinced me I should like him. But people have an innate nature. And this, again, is just who Lane Kiffin is. Like, it's just not surprising in any way. Right. So you got to take the good with the bad. You're going to win football games. Yeah. But if he wants to leave, he's going to leave. And it's not going to be fun. It's fun for me because it's entertaining to watch all this unfold. But, like, for them, it's not fun.
Yeah. And again, you had to have known that this is what you were going to get with Lane Kiffin.
Oh, we all knew. We just didn't know when.
Yeah.
But I was the one guy that thought he would never leave when he was there for so long.
Yeah, I would say it's the only reason it's not surprising to me is because of the schools that were the options.
Right.
Then I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense why he left.
Right. I thought this. Well, I thought he was going to go to Alabama. Like that was my first.
I will be honest. I don't think he's a good fit for Bama, and I say that because Bama doesn't want the coach that brings the drama that Lane Kiffin has with him. I think that works at LSU. I think it's a good fit for LSU. And that's not a shade, like that's not me throwing shade at them. I think that the wildness, the whatever is wrong with Lane Kiffin, I love it. And it is a perfect fit for LSU. I think Bama is much more of like the classy, traditional, we want a guy who's non-problematic like Nick Saban school these days, and Lane Kiffin does not fit that mold.
That's a great point because LSU is going to let Lane Kiffin be Lane Kiffin. So
Yes.
he's going to
correct.
Just like Ole Miss did.
Yep.
He's going to say whatever he wants in interviews. Yep. He's going to act the way he's going to act.
Yep.
But you're probably going to win a lot of football games.
Yep. And you know what? A lot can be forgiven when you win college football games.
That's the thing at Ole Miss. Now you're seeing like, oh, we don't have to deal with his antics no more. I'm like, well, you weren't complaining about that for the past 6 years.
When you were winning football games.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be real mad when some of those players leave and go to LSU.
Yeah, I think it's going to be more than people are expecting. And then cue them being even more mad.
Because my buddy coaches at Mount Zion High School. Their tight end was going to Ole Miss. Today, LSU. Already switched.
Yeah, 100%. No, I know. And like, again, do I think it's a lot going on? Absolutely. But from my perspective, I absolutely can defend why he's done what he's done. And I get why fans are mad. Like I said, it's like they're going through a bad breakup and they're publicly posting on it online, which is bizarre behavior, but like that's what it's an equivalent to.
I guess I'm have to be an LSU fan, I guess. Because I love to go back at people. And I got to find a way to get to the LSU Ole Miss game. Because that's going to be
cinema.
Because I thought it was cool when he went to Tennessee. And I thought that was bad. This is going to be real bad.
Oh, I'll be at that game. That's for damn sure.
I got to find my way down there.
Hilarious.
I didn't
think I'd come on this pod all night and be defending Lane Kiffin, but now that you really spelled it out for me, I guess that is my perspective.
Well, mine too. I kind of defended him myself, but I also was first to say like there would have been a much better way to go about this.
For sure.
But I think I honestly believe that he was conflicted. Even though he said yes, I think he was just honestly conflicted.
I think every coach is conflicted every time. And that's where, like, you're not wrong. I think he was absolutely conflicted because, again, I would die for my dad's players. Like, I would do anything for them. And not even his. I would die for anybody on the NC State football team. And so I can only imagine how Lane Kiffin felt about them all. It's hard to leave that. It's hard to leave a good situation. It also wasn't even a bad situation. It was a great situation.
Right.
You got to do the right thing for you and your family.
Right. And the calendar hurt that situation.
For sure. And that's not Lane Kiffin's fault.
No, that's whoever runs college football's fault.
Yes.
If they had an NFL style where it says you can't talk to coaches till their season's over, that would solve a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And Lane Kiffin, I think, was just trying to wait to see what the season was going to unfold to be, and go about it that way. And I think he felt if he would have left 4 or 5 weeks ago, then those players may not make it to the playoff. He felt so he was just trying he was still like, that's the thing people don't get. He was still coaching for Ole Miss. Like, he was doing everything he could to get them to win.
Yes. 100%. And I think he unselfishly coached there longer for the exact reason that you're saying. Because if he would have left sooner, there would have been a chance that they didn't make the playoffs for whatever reason. It's hard to go through a coaching change. And so he ensured to get them as far as he possibly could. 100%.
But I find it interesting. I 100% understand why he cannot coach in the playoff. The athletic director is just. But you're going to let Charlie Weis, who left with Lane Kiffin to go to Ole Miss or LSU, to come back and coach.
That seems very odd to me. That's very much giving bitter X. The AD is now bitter X, who doesn't want to let Lane Kiffin finish out the season, which is, I totally understand why, but it does, I am 100% with you. It seems odd to let the offensive coordinator come back, who again wasn't calling the plays. So it should still technically affect their playoff positioning, in my opinion.
Well, that's another thing people don't understand. And I hate this in the NFL. They give like an offense coordinator title to coaches. That doesn't mean they're calling the plays. Sometimes it does.
Yes.
Like for the Bears, for example, Ben Johnson calls the plays.
It's 100% Ben.
But he hired an offensive coordinator, so people were like, well, is Ben calling the plays? I'm like, 100% he is. That guy's job is to install, organize practice, make sure everything's good, because head coaches have so much to do that they always can't be around, and then they get it ready for game day. That's what their job is.
Yep. 100%.
So now you're going to have a guy come in. It's none of that made sense. And so people were saying, oh, this is the perfect chance. Ole Miss, give Charlie Weis all this money, force him to stay, and this and that. And then the athletic director for Ole Miss retweeted the fact that Charlie Weis was coming back to coach playoff. Like, he retweeted it with the red and blue like emojis. Like, now you're just as bad as Lane Kiffin.
Yeah. Again, what a disaster. But also, again, I would never expect anything less from Lane Kiffin.
No, I'm not shocked at all.
No.
I hope it works out. I hope he does a lot.
Yeah, I will, as a coach's kid, I will never be rooting on coaches' downfalls, because it just feels like bad karma, and it could always be my dad next. And so I'll never be rooting for that. I'm hoping that he's successful there, and I hope Pete Golding's successful at Ole Miss. I do know that karma is a bitch, and so we never know, and it will come back and bite us in the ass. But if they feel like they all handled everything to the best of their ability, then it shouldn't be a problem.
Right. I'm looking this up again. I'm still in awe that he's coming back to coach. And then the guy retweeted it. You're the athletic director, man. Don't be doing that. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that is very odd.
Because he's just going to do what Lane Kiffin would have done. He's going to fly back there and be like, guys, LSU is so awesome. Like this and this, what Lane's going to do. Like all the reasons you told Lane Kiffin he couldn't do, this guy's going to do.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. And then they said he lied about the players wanting him to coach. It was one player, not players.
And here's the thing. You can't believe what 18 to 22-year-old boys say either about any of that. Because some people are going to be stoked that he's gone, right? Because they're getting screwed or they're not getting paid enough or they're not playing or whatever. And half the players are going to be pissed that he's gone because they loved him and they worked hard and they got the money that they deserved and they played and then this and then that. And so you can just never believe any of that.
No. And then they're all happy for Pete, which is awesome. But what happens in this playoff game? You're starting to lose. They'll turn on him. They're going to be like, "You're not Lane."
Well, the other thing too that I think no one's talking about because they're just so on the Lane Kiffin thing is that it's very interesting that they're going from having truthfully the most mastermind offensive play caller in college football at this point to having a defensive head coach. It's just a little odd.
Well, I think you said earlier it was a panic hire because they felt like they didn't want to go through all that and they wanted somebody there. And the players like him because he's not the head coach. Not every player, even though they're playing there, likes their head coach. They like they like the coordinator. They like the position coach because that's who they deal with every single day. So it's easy for them to be like, yes, it's easy for them to get caught up in, well, you didn't leave us. He left us.
Yeah.
And the fact that the AD didn't let Lane talk to the team was AD didn't handle it well either. Like, you're not going to let him talk to the team before he leaves?
That I need this to go on record. You can't. ADs a lot of the time won't let you because technically those aren't your players anymore, and it is an NCAA violation.
Oh, okay.
Yes. People are always like, he didn't even tell the team. The AD probably didn't let him. Some ADs are nice and like, we'll let you or we'll be like, yeah, you can. But also, so I'm assuming that the AD said no. And then you know what? There's a side of me that's like, respect the AD enough to follow those rules. And then there's a side of me that's like, screw it. Should you talk to them anyways? Right? So I see both sides of that coin as well. But also, what do you say to the players? Like what? Because he's already had conversations with them, the ones that he felt like he needed to have, working up to the point he actually left because he's known for weeks that he's leaving. And people are like, no, he made the decision last minute. He was probably thinking about it and like settling in his decision. But every time my dad leaves, I've known for 3 weeks before that shit was public, right? So like he knew, he had the conversations that needed to be had. And people are like, Brian Kelly was so rude when he left. This is all he said to the players. What do you say to the players when you get fired? Like, what do you say? And again, this is different because you're leaving for a different job. But like, okay, good luck, guys. Like, I'm going to miss you. It's just like, what do you say?
Okay, that's a great point. I didn't even think about it like that. I didn't know it was a rule. So
yeah, it's an NCAA violation.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That is true. That is true. Maybe because I've seen NFL guys talk to their players when they get fired and stuff like that. So I think about it from that point. But NFL is different, way different than college.
Yeah.
That's true. I guess I don't know what he's going to say.
Yeah. So I was thinking about those two sides of it too. Like a lot of ADs won't let you talk to the players. And also if you are the coach, what are you going to say?
Oh, and he can just text them or whatever if he wants to.
Yeah, technically also an NCAA violation, but the loophole is previous relationship.
See, I'm learning a lot. See, I don't know. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Because NCAA had a lot of rules. I walked on at Eastern, and I remember in class, the rule was if you had a group project in a class and you went to a restaurant, I could buy their food for them. Like, you know, when you go out with friends and they're like, hey, I'll buy the next one, you get this one, but they can't buy it for me. And I was like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
And they're like, it's an NCAA rule. And this was 2009. And they're like, this is a rule. And I'm like, well, this is stupid.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're saying is, because I'm sorry, we're defending Lane Kiffin for a very, very long time. So apparently Lane Kiffin isn't as bad as everybody thinks.
Basically, when you put aside feelings, which obviously I have none either way, because I have no allegiance to Ole Miss or to LSU. He's not that bad of a guy. And anyone who would have expected for Lane Kiffin to handle it differently never started following college football 3 years ago, because this has always been Lane's brand.
Mm-hmm. And coaches leave all the time.
Yep.
Even my guy Mike Leach, when he was at Washington State and he went to Mississippi State, I'm like, look what happened. He left.
R.I.P.
Oh, he was my favorite. It was real sad. I was going to go to Mississippi State, I think, to like watch a practice, and then that happened.
Yeah, my dad is from the Mike Leach coaching tree, so I always love that man.
Oh, yeah, I have all the books. I have everything. That's my guy.
Yeah.
I ran his offense this year for the most part. So I'm like, this is my guy.
Love it. Love it. All right, what's next? I feel like we have to stop defending Lane Kiffin, or people are really going to start coming for me, and I don't know if I can handle it.
Oh, you can. I don't think there's much left. I've kept you on here for a long time. Another thing I heard was that Auburn, before they hired Coach Golesh, that they had Sumrall locked in. And then at the last second, they told him, like kind of like a Florida, well, we're going to hire the GM. We're going to hire this person. And Sumrall was like, that's not how this is going to work. And so he backed out.
I actually know the true details of that, so I am going to decline to comment.
Okay.
Because it's not speculation and it's not my information to share.
Cool. Okay. Again, this is what I hear.
No. I love it. I just, and again, I guess what I can say, I just don't ever want to disrespect people's stories that I know. Right.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that Sumrall would have been a good fit at Auburn. And so I think it is a bummer that didn't work out. Alabama ties and all that. Excited to see how he ends up doing at Florida. I think as someone who lives in Florida and lived in Opelika, Alabama, I'd rather live in Florida 9 days out of 10. I love Alabama and I missed my days in Auburn, but I'd much rather live in Florida than Opelika, Alabama.
Oh, my best friend lives in Tampa. He'd probably say the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, it just can't beat the beach and the weather and So.
Yeah, I think Sumrall will do great.
Yeah, so do I. I don't think he is like a home run, big splash hire in the sense that like they obviously should have hired Lane Kiffin. But hey, you know what? I fully support coaches who want to take jobs where they're not being told who they have to interview and who they have to hire. Truly. It's hard. It's really hard to build a program. It's a lot harder when you didn't get to pick the people that you're going to do it with.
100%. 100%. I think he's going to do well at Florida because he's shown that he can win with less. So, and I think Coach Golesh will do the same thing. He turned that program around at South Florida and going to Auburn. He was at Illinois for a cup of coffee for a little bit, and he was tight ends. And I think he helped out with running backs. Comes from lots of good trees. Recruits well. I can't imagine what he'll do. But Auburn seems to be like a mess because they fired all these coaches, owe a lot of money, and it's like Auburn can't get out of their own way. So I'm hoping that he will break that wall down. Because I think Auburn, I can't stand Auburn fans because they think they should be really, 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 really good. but I think they should be.
I will never be able, I will only support Auburn fans who agree with my take that firing Gus Malzahn was the worst decision they ever made.
Yes, 100% it was.
The winningest coach against Nick Saban. The winningest coach of the Iron Bowl ever in Auburn history. Against the best version of Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And you fired that man? Nah.
And look what happened when you fired him.
100%.
Oh, because I love Gus. And Auburn, I think this is just karma, really. You fire him, now you can't win. And now you've gone through 2 or 3 coaches.
Agreed.
So I hope that he can change it because Auburn cannot stay out of their own way.
No, totally.
Because I didn't like the Hugh Freeze hire either. I didn't think he was going to fit well there at all.
No, I didn't either. And again, I don't want to root on people's downfall. I am friends with one of his children, and tough scene. But I didn't think that was a good fit. I think it's an odd fit. I just think that Gus Malzahn was a perfect fit at Auburn, and they really couldn't have asked for much better, because they weren't going to ever get the Lane Kiffins and the Nick Sabans. And so I think that Gus Malzahn was really, truly their best option. And you're right. I think it's karma for them getting rid of him.
100%. But I think Coach Golesh will do a good job. He seems like a iron hard worker type of guy.
Yeah.
And he don't take nothing from anybody. He's going to say what he wants. He's going to coach how he wants. And from hearing, I knew a guy that was on the Illinois team when he was there. So I texted him and he was like, he's going to get it done. And I'm like, that's all I needed to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm absolutely rooting for him. Like I said, always rooting for coaches to do well. And so can't wait to see how it plays out for him there.
I mean, that's really all I was interested. I don't care about Arkansas enough. I don't care about.
Yeah, neither do I. I also don't know enough. I never want to speak on things I don't know enough about. And I don't know enough about Arkansas.
Arkansas, I said, should have tried to get Gus because I think that would have been awesome. But with Florida State's season and the way it went, I think that's kind of what deterred them from that.
Absolutely.
And also, I think Gus is almost done. He's, you know more than I do. I'm just going by what he had said. He said he thought about retiring at one point.
Yeah, I think coaches think about retiring often, and then when they think about the reality of it, they're like, "Oh wait, never mind." Because truly, they get bored. Like I'm sure you saw it, but Ed Ogeron was like, "Yeah, I'll coach at LSU starting today again," because they retire and they don't know what to do with themselves. That's why whenever people are like, "Oh, they're in it for the money," I'm like, I'm telling you. They're not in it for the money. They're in it because they have a sickness. That's what we call it in my family. Like you have a sickness. You are so obsessed with college football and outcomes and being like so wholly obsessed on one thing. And they get bored. Bronco Mendenhall retires, comes back to coaching college football 2 years later. Other people retire, Pat Fitzgerald retires, comes back to college football a couple years later. You know, I mean, I know he got pushed out and it was this whole thing and it was a whole thing, but like same thing with Rolovich, leaves college football for the COVID situation, comes right back to it. Like Ed Ogeron saying he'd come back today. They want to be coaches. And then people are like, if I'm James Franklin, I am literally not ever coaching a day in my life again. And I'm just sitting on my money. And everyone's like, but he had a clause in his contract that said he had to look for a similar job. And it's like, you're okay, yes, but I can promise you if it didn't have that clause, he still would have done it.
Mm-hmm.
They want to coach. They want to develop young men. They want to be recruiting. They love the challenge that it is.
That's why I'm shocked Jimbo's not back yet.
Shocked. It's not over, but shocked.
I'm actually kind of shocked about Ed Odron. I think he liked having time away for just a hair.
100%. And I think that they can all be fine with that. But I don't think any of it's permanent. Nick Saban, not a coach, but still does college football every single day of his life. Like, they'll always find their way back.
Because I'm a big Ed Odron fan, so I'm hoping he goes somewhere.
No, I could see it. I could for sure see it. I think they sold their soul for that 2019 national championship.
Oh, they did. Yeah, they did. Because I did get his book, and as I'm reading his book, I just hear his voice the entire time as I'm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He's awesome.
Oh, yeah, he's a guy I want to meet in person. I'm scared of him, but I want to meet him in person.
Absolutely.
Because he's my type of guy. He said he drank like 6 energy drinks before something. I was like, that's my type of guy right there.
That's also my type of guy, because the same.
Oh, yeah, because energy drinks are a problem.
Everybody has their vices.
That's why I love you and your dad doing the flavor ones. That's so funny. Love it.
Yeah, no, we drink. There's a lot of energy drinks being drank in the Tujague household.
Oh, there is here, except it's only me.
Hey, I live alone too, so it's also only me.
Well, I'll have one like at 6 a.m. and then like 9 or 10 rolls around. I'm like, I want another one.
That's so funny. Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Oh, yeah, we'll wrap it up. I'll tell you a funny story. I coached at a high school when the Bangs were big. I don't know if they're as big now.
Yeah.
The head coach, all the coaches we'd eat before the game. I don't know why. He would open one at like 4:30, 5 o'clock. Then we're warming up at like 6:30. He opens up another one and drinks it. I'm like, do you realize what you just did? Like 600 milligrams of caffeine in 2 hours. But he's like the leading rusher at North Central history. So he was like, I'm always jacked up.
Hey, I get it. I've asked my doctor about it, and they're like, as long as you drink enough water, doesn't really matter. I'm like, okay, say less.
Oh, that's all I needed to hear.
Yep. So.
Well, sorry I kept you on for so long, but I appreciate you coming on.
Of course. No, I had a great time. I love talking ball anytime I can, and talking about coaches specifically, because that's my wheelhouse. It's what I know best.
Yeah, and I learned stuff today that I didn't know.
Love it. Same. I learned stuff I didn't know about the coaching searches as well. So love when we can learn and talk ball.
Well, I could be wrong too, so that's not be crazy.
No, I love hearing the gossip.
Oh, I've seen plenty of gossip and I'm tired of seeing it.
I will say I spend so much time these days creating content. I miss a lot of like, this is what happened with Lane Kiffin. I just see like one video and I'm like, okay, this is all I have to go off of. So no, it's nice to chat about it for a while. Haven't heard a lot of it.
Well, again, you're just lucky that I'm at home all day with a 3-month-old where I can just
yes, absolutely,
just see all this and watch all of it and then get pissed off about what I'm watching because these people don't know what they're talking about.
Correct.
And then I get more mad.
Correct. Same.
Then I text people that know the deal and then I find out. I'm like, hold on, this is wrong.
That's hilarious. Yes.
I need to start commenting, and my only comment to these people are like, "No, you're wrong," and that's been it. Like, nope, you're wrong. This is not what happened.
Yeah, I keep commenting that to Penn State fans, so I'm right there with you.
Oh, Penn State's gonna suck, and it's gonna be awesome. Well, I have insight on Penn State, but I can't say. I can say, but I can't say it while this recording is happening.
Don't say it. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me.